Greetings, Carl Payne here with a miniature painting tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I finish and apply decals to Warhammer miniatures. You're going to need a couple simple tools, some good tweezers, obviously your decal sheet. I use micro sol as well as decal set from testers, just a sponge or a wet palette, and then obviously an X-Acto knife to trim your decals. So go ahead and cut your decals out, set them on that wet palette or sponge just to get them soaking, and this will help to loosen up the decal sitting on the paper. First thing I do is apply the decal set to your surface that you want the decal to go on. You can be pretty generous with this. You should have a nice kind of wet layer of decal set on that surface when you're done. Next, take your decal and slide it just slightly off with your finger so that you kind of have an edge extended out. And I just grab the edge of that decal with my thumbnail and slide it onto the surface. I use the tweezers to reposition it. Just be really gentle because these decals are very often fragile. Now, once I've applied that, I apply a coat of the micro sol. What this does is dissolve the decal just slightly and helps it to conform to the surface. After you have applied this, make sure you're really careful with that decal. It's very fragile, so I use the tip of the X-Acto knife just very, very carefully to reposition it where I need it to go. After you've got it in your right position, I actually just trim the decal on the model itself. You don't want to go too hard with that knife blade. You don't want to dig into that model at all, but with just a little gentle cut, you can kind of remove any part of that decal that you don't need. In this case, I'm removing just a slight corner where it overlaps with the shoulder pad edge. Put one more, just small layer of microsol on there, just to help, dissolve it just a little bit more and prepare it for our final set step. So here's where the magic happens. I use a paper towel to press down on that decal to stick it to the surface. Now this does two things. It sets the decal and perfectly matches it to that surface, but it also soaks up any remaining solvent or water that you were using. This really helps to prevent the decal from deteriorating further, but also keeps it set in place where it needs to be. So we're just going to repeat that process that we just did. So micro set, apply your decal, trim the corner out where you need it to be, let that sit for a little bit, make sure it's positioned exactly where you need it to be, and then press that into the surface with the paper towel. Now the last step I do is I apply a clear coat over this. Usually I use a matte coat. If you prefer a satin or a gloss coat, depending on the final finish of your model, this just helps to protect the decal while you're finishing painting the rest of the model, prevent it from getting scratched up, etc., etc. And you can go really light on this coat because you're going to be doing a final clear coat anyway over the whole model using an airbrush. This is just to protect the decal in case you don't do a final clear coat and in case you need to finish painting the rest of the model. And there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a comment or criticism, and thanks for watching.